Oh, hello there. Welcome back to part 2 of our series on the Northeast Falls Creek developments. Last time on This Here Vancouver, we went over how the new road plan would be laid out and the first of the 3 districts, the Park District. Today, we'll be taking a look at the Events and Entertainment District and the little baby district of Hogan's Alley. So, let's mosey on over. The Entertainment District is composed of 4 main areas: the new Concord Pacific development, Parq Vancouver and the Stadia, which is, again, apparently the plural of stadium, and the new Plaza of Nations. And all this will be centered on the new Georgia Plaza. Okay, AO, let's go. The new Concord development has a perfect relationship with the world around it. It has 3 sides. The park edge, which lines up perfectly with the Carroll Promenade for seamless travel. The buildings on this side will be covered in greenery, giving a natural transition from park to city, which is just such a nice, thoughtful touch. The water edge, which obviously gives views to the water, offers a dock-like feel that matches the waterfront areas of the park. And then there's the Pacific Boulevard edge, which will connect directly with the elevated park above, even better connecting the development to the rest of the city. It's the nexus, a meeting point for city, ocean, and park. And unless you're here, you'll always have a clear view to either the water or the park. Let's take a look inside. This is Park Lane, which obviously gives you a clear view and path to the park. It's a pedestrian-only road, sure to be lined with small shops. It intersects with Mount Seymour Lane, also a pedestrian-only road, right here, forming an inner courtyard. From here, you can see the park, the water, and Mount Seymour. This courtyard, along with the surrounding buildings, will form the Indy Lanes district, filled with small shops and cafes. Get it? Independent Lane? Ha! Surrounding the Indy Lane district are Abbott and Carroll Street, which provides an open view to Grouse Mountain. These roads are for cars, meant for local traffic. And finally, there's this wharf loop, a pedestrian walkway that also allows for very slow vehicles for things like deliveries to all the restaurants and shops along the water. And this here is the waterfront district, and these businesses will be larger, more mainstream than those in the courtyard. Other planned businesses include a large pub, a grocery store, and a drugstore. It'll also include a pier, a floating restaurant, and coolest of all, the Georgia Plaza. Now, on the surface, this is pretty basic. It's the terminus of Georgia Street, and it'll connect events held at BC Place and Rogers Arena to the park and surrounding area. But what makes this so cool is that they're actually going to reshape False Creek to bring the water from here right up to the plaza. This creates a larger perimeter for the creek, which means more waterfront, and also this nice little inlet that creates this feeling of a small harbor town. And the buildings themselves are pretty well designed too. For one, the only low-level residential buildings are here. This allows the public area to maintain the busy public life filled with things to do that one would expect in the entertainment district. The rest of the housing is higher up in the buildings, as one would expect. They'll also allow for a view cone, a pretty common concept in Vancouver. Basically, stay low here, slowly build higher this way, leave a nice view of the mountains. That is, except for 2 buildings. Here and here. They'll be the tallest buildings of the development, and they'll be placed there to mark the significance of the new community, as well as its position as a gateway into the city. I think this is a really good idea, and will help define the Georgia Plaza, especially. And they might also be joined by another tower, right here. Right now, it's a small treed parking lot alongside BC Place, but it could look like this. It's your typical residential building, places to live. It'll have street-side shops and commercial space on Griffith and Pacific Boulevard, and along with these 2 towers and the one lining Rogers Arena, it'll say a lot about the area. Pacific Boulevard is a big street, and it could easily become a divide between the Northeast Falls Creek area and the rest of the city. The towers on all 4 corners of the street, which will visually connect all sides of the intersection, will show people that this side is part of the same area as this side. This becomes even more powerful when you add in this little development that connects the north side of Pacific Boulevard, Abbott Street, and Rogers Arena to the rest of the development. So instead of being split off by Pacific Boulevard, these extra buildings allow the Northeast Falls Creek area to slowly fade away into the city and become a proper piece of it. And this will all help the city's goal of making Pacific a great street. Not great as in, hey wow, isn't this pavement real smooth? But great as in, it's nice to be here. I think the goal is somewhere in between the flamboyant grandeur of Granville Street and the comfortable community feeling of Robson and Davie. They want great wide sidewalks that'll take up a third of the street's width, lined with great big trees that canopy the area, all leading into the center at the Georgia Plaza. They want this feeling to extend westward too, further into the city, so as to expand the area into a thriving commercial district. Think like all the way to Hamilton in the west, to the water in the east, and from the park in the north to the Plaza of Nations in the south. Speaking of which, what's going on there? Well, this. It'll sit in between the Georgia Plaza and Habitat Water's Edge, which is the small patch of trees that's already there. The goal is to connect BC Place to the water, and it'll be a slightly more public version of the Concord development. The park version, if you will. So, kind of public space, shopping area, public space. Now, as you can see from these Monument Valley-like concept photos, this project is still very much in the planning phase. But here's some of the stuff that we know right now. The entire development is based off of this terrace design scheme. They compare it with other options like this. You might want to pause here. And I have to agree with their choice of this design. It really seems like it's the best. And overall, they have about 3 main goals that they're trying to accomplish. Connect Pacific Boulevard and a newly created BC Place entrance to the water. This rain-covered promenade will do that. They want to connect it along the seawall with the rest of the new development. Got that covered. And they want to provide a nice view to BC Place. Check, check, check. Okay, what else? Well, the building is going to be filled with a still unsure combination of office, hotel, and housing space. It'll feature a series of shops within the promenade, probably a Lonsdale Quay sort of thing, and along the waterfront, continuing from the Concord lot. The terrace spaces will form a series of garden and public spaces, around 2.75 acres, that'll be connected by other terraces and bridges. Let me say that again. A bunch of different terraced public spaces, like a fucking mountain rice farm, connected by a series of bridges. So, basically, the coolest Lego building that you've ever made. I say that with a lot of excitement, but it really is so early in the game, there's not enough details to really criticize the project. But so far, it looks really good. And the final installment of the entertainment district, Parq Vancouver. And just in case you're going to confuse it with the Northeast Falls Creek Park, which is a real park, this park that is in Vancouver is spelt with a Q. So that's helpful. This Vegas-inspired development is composed of 2 main parts, the Park Casino and the 2 JW Marriott hotels, all of which will wrap around the southwest end of BC Place. Construction is already well underway, you probably remember the fire, and it's slotted to open this September. It already looks pretty decent, and the copper exterior will be a nice change from Vancouver's trademark blue window color that paints the entire downtown area. My only complaint, and it's a pretty big complaint, is that this tower will be blocking a pretty substantial portion of BC Place. This lower area here doesn't get in the way too much, and the tower won't get in the way of the opening from Georgia Plaza, but still, I can't say that I support that. As for the rest of the development, it'll really fill in the entertainment district. Stadia for hockey, soccer, basketball, concerts, and other events, lots of public space, rooms for shops, water access, and, with Parq Vancouver, a place to just be and have fun. A casino with tons of restaurants and things to do. Let's take a closer look. The development will have 1,072 underground parking spaces, as well as car share and taxi areas on the ground. The Marriott Hotel will take up 24 stories, composed of over 329 rooms. And the Douglas Hotel will be 15 stories, with 188 rooms. It will also feature a large conference space and Vancouver's largest hotel ballroom. The casino itself, at 72,000 square feet, will be the largest in Western Canada, with 600 slot machines, 72 game tables, and 11 private gaming rooms. I honestly can't even comprehend that. To complement the casino, there will also be at least 8 restaurants, bars, and lounges. On the second floor will be a large lounge area, with a bar in the center. In the western corner will be a fancy schmancy 3-meal restaurant, and on the eastern side will be an Asian cuisine area, meant to emulate the feeling of a street-side night market. 1 floor higher, and instead of a bar and lounge, you have a whiskey and tea lounge. Oh, so fancy. This floor will also feature an upscale Chinese restaurant. Some other restaurants include a rooftop lounge, a seafood and steakhouse, and what is described as an upscale tavern. It'll also feature an outdoor park on the 6th floor, connected to the Douglas, which is actually pretty cool and interesting. It's like the Vegas version of the Concord Pacific development's relationship to nature. The roof itself will also feature another urban park. At 30,000 square feet, it'll feature hundreds of pine trees and other native plant life. And let's not forget about that view. And okay, let's get a little negative here. A pretty big part of me and a lot of other people are a little worried about the negative effect that a Vegas-style casino and hotels will have on the surrounding developments. But at the same time, it'll definitely help kickstart the local businesses and help make the area the bustling entertainment district that it's meant to be. So I'm a little torn here as to whether this development will be a net gain or a net loss. What do you think? But before you decide, in its defense, Parq Vancouver in total is going to create over 1,000 new job openings from entry-level to executive, from cooks and servers to maids and concierges to dealers and managers. That's undeniably good for the city. Okay, let's head over all the way to the opposite side of the development, to Hogan's Alley. This is the block between Pryor and Union Streets, where the viaducts meet the ground again. It forms that no man's land between Chinatown and City Gate that we talked about earlier. There are plans to develop both of these lots, but right now, the focus is on this one, between Quebec and Main Street. Here they're building what will look like 3 buildings, but it's actually just 2. They're going to be following a similar, if not toned-down version of the Plaza of Nations terrace design. And they'll follow suit with the rest of the project and be a very green-looking building covered in plant life. Like, do you see how much rooftop park space there is? And also playgrounds. Just a great use of space. Most of the building will be filled with housing, and a lot of it is what they call affordable housing units. Down on the ground, there's also these live-work units. You know, live in your flat above, run your shop down below. And what's really interesting about these is that they're actually intended for artists. So they live here, work on their projects here, and sell their pieces here, which makes this little strip kind of like a mini art gallery. Most of the other storefronts are reserved for food service, so like cafes and restaurants, and a lot of them have patios. This here will be a small grocery store, and on the street, there'll be an entirely separated bike lane, not just painted lines, and this really cool courtyard alley walkway area with a water feature, places to sit down, and a patio. I really like the idea of this building. In a single block, you have living space, going out space, park space, and a place to buy your groceries. It's a nice idea. And so, that concludes our series on the future of the Northeast False Creek. Coming soon to theaters near you, a history of the False Creek, or the story of how we filled in half of the False Creek. Wait, what? Yeah, that happened. But until then, as always, thank you so much to my patrons. The fact that you're taking money out of your wallet and tossing it over to me is absolutely incredible, and I don't know how to thank you for that. But still, thank you for your support, and thanks for watching. See you soon.